What a way for Oracle to close down. What a way for the season to end. And what a way for the draft and the free agency period to be set up. And on all of that from the worldwide leader in sports, a man who's been covering the NBA for a decade plus, joining me here right back on the Rich Eisen Show, Dave McMenamin. How are you, Dave?
I'm well. I feel like I spent so much emotion watching last night's game. It was such a great one. And also, in a way, a cruel one to see Klay Thompson go down like that in the midst of just a brilliant effort to try to force a Game 7 after we already saw what happened to KD in Game 5. I wanted more basketball, but I guess we got to take some time off to let these guys heal before next season.
Yeah, and Dave, I mean, the narrative that we've been talking about all year long, can the Warriors three-peat, and then the July 1st date that was looming throughout the entire season, and the question about how the playoffs would actually feed into July 1st and what it would mean for the free agency period. And now Durant and Klay Thompson appear to be out for the next season as we're just a few weeks from July 1st. How does this all affect the dominoes of free agency, Dave?
I think the biggest question is, will the Warriors want to offer two max contracts to two guys who will miss an entire season out of those max contracts? You can do it with one. We've seen it before. The Lakers did it with Kobe Bryant. The Wizards did it with Gilbert Arenas, knowing that going into that season, that guy's not going to play, but you still want that player. To do it with two is unprecedented. I just don't know where that's going to go. And it becomes the question of, okay, well then, will one of those guys go elsewhere? And of course, no one was really assuming that Kevin Durant would be returning to the Warriors. There's obviously been a lot of smoke around him going east, going out to the Knicks, or, even some talk about the Nets. But I'm just most curious right now, because this is, the sample size that we have. We saw the reactions of the team officials walking through to the back with both those guys in Games 5 and Game 6. What will the Warriors actually do?
What will the Warriors actually do? What will the Knicks do if they might try and offer Durant a max, knowing that he's not around for a full year? I know the Lakers were interested in Klay Thompson, as were a bunch of other teams, but I want to put a pin in that for just a brief second, because when you look at the landscape of July 1st with these guys potentially being out, you have to wonder if the Rockets now, when the word coming from folks in the information business that everybody was up for trade and Daryl Morey was thinking of maybe redoing the team if he could, why not just keep everything as is, knowing that the Warriors aren't going to be who they've been, Dave, right?
Yeah, Rich, it's a wonderful point. And to be honest, I understand that Daryl Morey is a guy who never rests on his laurels and is innovative and always trying to find ways to improve in the margins. But I was a little surprised by that story to begin with, the fact that, basically anyone but James Harden would be expendable in trying to fix that team. They've been a really, really good basketball team that ran into the Golden State buzzsaw 2 straight years. They have to feel as good as anybody right now, based on the contracts they have on their books and the success they've already had, as we look forward. Now, 3 weeks from now, as we see free agents go different places, that conversation could certainly change. But right now, if you were to pick one favorite, they would probably be there right with Toronto. But the thing with Toronto, you don't know if Kawhi Leonard's going to be on the team next year. And so perhaps if you were to pick one favorite in this moment, based on certainty of thought, it would be the Houston Rockets.
Dave McMenamin here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, and the first blush thought about Kawhi, where he's going, the question was always, what would it be more likely for him to leave with a win or a loss? Now we know it is a win. What do you think? What are the wins sounding like? Because last night when Kawhi was asked about the win for Toronto and the city and the country, he said it's something that they can build off of. He referred to it as they, not we. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, it also struck me that when he was talking about getting traded there the summer before, he kind of made it sound like he had just finished the goal that he was looking to accomplish. And if that is, a finished type of feeling that he has, that would make it easier for him to move on. Like, he didn't choose to go to Toronto, but he made it sound like in his head, he was like, okay, well, best case scenario, let's just win a chip, and then I'm free to do whatever the heck I want to do. Because, again, he didn't choose to go to Toronto. And so certainly well aware that, speaking to Clippers officials throughout the year, that has been their plan 1A, plan 1B, plan 1C is to go after Kawhi Leonard. And the SoCal roots are well reported. That has to be, in my mind, still an option. Obviously, at the very least, I truly believe he's going to be taking free agency meetings. But Toronto should have a pretty good case to present to him as well. We'll see if that GM, Masai Ujiri, will be the guy presenting the case. We'll see if Washington Wizards are trying to pry him away.
I mean, it's totally nuts. I mean, we could literally go in 50 different directions based on the number of free agents available, the number of teams, Milwaukee included, that could be ravaged by free agency or retain everybody. And it could be in just a few weeks that Doc Rivers is absolutely free to compare Kawhi Leonard to Michael Jordan and not be fined for it. I mean, so the one way I want to go with you, however, Dave McMenamin here from ESPN, is the Anthony Davis scenario and the Lakers and what is going on with them. And to start that, I want you to reiterate, you are the one who LeBron said something about Anthony Davis to many moons ago, feels like years ago, but it was just months ago, that sparked the whole Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, LeBron James, bring Anthony Davis to the Lakers scenario. Dave, walk me through that story you told here in studio to set up this conversation, if you don't mind, please.
Right. This was back in December, and it was before a game that the Nets played against the Lakers at Barclays Center, and I had just done a SportsCenter hit on the court, and the part of the hit was talking about Anthony Davis, how he was going to be making his first trip to Staples Center later that week to play against the Lakers, first trip of the season, of course. And as I was doing my television hit, it was airing in the locker room. I guess LeBron and others were watching it, and I went into the locker room after doing my hit, as I normally do, to talk to the players during availability. And LeBron kind of looked at me with kind of like something I don't know, like what are you talking about AD for? And I just kind of said, well, he's coming to town, and there's speculation he might not want to finish his career or re-sign in New Orleans, and obviously the Lakers would be a team looking to improve. And and then of course he said to me, the quote that was referenced a lot throughout last season was that, it would be amazing, it would be incredible if the Lakers traded for him, which some people viewed as LeBron throwing his teammates under the bus, because it would involve them needing to be going away from LA to make it happen. Others people thought it was the most obvious quote of all time. Of course you want to trade for a top 7 player in his prime in Anthony Davis. And now here we stand. The Lakers have re-involved themselves in the Anthony Davis sweepstakes, and there's appears to be a short list of teams that are vying for his services. I mean, you have basically the teams that we've heard of so far have been the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Knicks. You wonder why the Clippers, you don't hear as much about them, and maybe it's because their sights are set on Kawhi Leonard until told that they can't get him. But this is really will be when we just talked about the power structure of the NBA, and then should the Rockets be the favorite going into next year, or you mentioned the Bucks, that's another team you have to talk about too. Wherever Anthony Davis ends up, that team very likely will be in the short list of contenders for next year.
Well, I mean, and then you asked LeBron if you could go on the record with his quote, and he gave you the right to do that, and then that started a whole firestorm, and then comes the public statement, made it public that Anthony Davis wanted to get traded, something that Rich Paul told Sports Illustrated this week was Dell Demps trying to sabotage things. And so my question is do you think that this has been a plan for LeBron and Rich Paul and Clutch Sports and Anthony Davis from the minute that it seemed like he just said something to you off the cuff, Dave, and that this is inevitable?
Well, I reported last year that last summer when LeBron met with Magic Johnson, Anthony Davis' name did not come up before he signed with the Lakers. So if it was a plan, it doesn't root itself all the way back, whatever that would be, 11 months ago. But yeah, I certainly believe, even though he made an off-the-cuff comment to me in December, that comment was preceded by, whatever conversation LeBron would have had with his management team as he canvassed the league and thought about ways the team could get better.
Where do things stand right now?
Right now, Adrian Wojnarowski is leading our coverage, and there still seems to be the issue, and I'm not even sure this is fair to characterize as the hang-up issue because, it could very well be just New Orleans that's waiting for other offers to pour in. But the Lakers' offer of Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, the number 4 pick, does not include Kyle Kuzma, and that, according to the reporting by Adrian Wojnarowski and others, that is a piece that New Orleans covets, and thus far, the Lakers are reticent to include it because they feel like they have more leverage than the team they're vying against currently in the Boston Celtics because you mentioned Rich Paul. Rich Paul told Sports Illustrated in no uncertain terms that Anthony Davis will not be extending and re-signing there next summer. And so is Boston really going to make that great of an offer if they know it's a one-year rental? And hence the Lakers are trying to hold on and not make that Godfather offer because they feel like they are in the driver's seat.
Yeah, but the boy do the Lakers need a game changer. They cannot walk away from July 1st striking out. And Klay Thompson is not walking through that door with an ACL. I mean, they can't max out somebody that can't play for one of the remaining 3 years or even 2 years of LeBron's window there. They can't do that.
Yeah, which is a shame. You can't even consider going after KD or Klay.
No.
I mean, your time frame doesn't allow it. Even if one of them told you, I'd love to come, you go, oh, man, that in a different reality, that would be fun. But they can't.
Right.
And so, obviously, the names, and this was Magic Johnson said on First Take, the two names that he believed they should target are Kyrie Irving and Kawhi Leonard. And very well, that could still be the case. But pairing one of those two with LeBron and AD, and now you're talking about not just being the Lakers being in the conversation as a contender, but very well being the favorite.
Last minute here with Dave McMenamin of ESPN joining me here, and we've got Charles Barkley coming up in the next hour to talk about last night's game. So the draft is 6 days away. It's Zion. Is there any shot that Morant doesn't go to, Barrett goes to, and Morant drops to the Knicks? Well, what are you hearing for any potential surprises at the top of that draft, Dave?
I would be very surprised if it wasn't 1 Zion, 2 Ja Morant. And based on what we've heard from R.J. Barrett, he wants to be in New York, and sometimes that manifest destiny seems to go a long way, as we saw the case with Lonzo Ball and the Lakers a couple of years ago. Beyond that, I'm not going to make many predictions because, you hear a lot about Derek Culver. You hear about DeAndre Hunter. You hear about Darius Garland. Darius Garland, again, another Clutch client, only played 4 games for Vanderbilt last year, but considered to have a Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving type of game and, could be the steal of the draft. But he's not really working out for teams. And so teams don't have a lot to go on. So I'm I feel like it will be somewhat chalk based on the draft boards that we see 1 through 3. But beyond that, stuff could get crazy.
Yeah, stuff could absolutely get crazy. And then the Lakers, you think more likely than not, don't keep who they choose it for, or don't choose it for at all. Yes or no? What do you think right now?
I'm not so sure a trade gets done prior to the draft.
Wow.
I think their intention, though, would not to be choosing at all. Just like they can't sign a guy who's hurt to help them next year. Even a top flight prospect, we saw it with their young players last year. To rely on that young of a player to help them for what they're trying to ultimately achieve, I don't think that's the route either.
Okay. And then the odds that the Knicks max out Durant no matter what, because that's what I'm hearing from all my Knicks friends saying, just go ahead and do it. Bring him in, max him out. What do you think? Do you think someone else does?
I think they're going to shoot their shot. I couldn't imagine them not doing it. And I understand he'll be close to 32 by the next time he's fully healthy. But he's still Kevin Durant. And, I can't imagine them be like, you know what? Actually, we really like Kevin Knox. I think they still got to make a play for him.
Dave, thanks for the call. Really appreciate your time coming in studio, making some phone calls. Expect our phone call over the next couple weeks, too, with free agency hitting.
Okay, thanks, Rich.
You got it. It's Dave McMenamin of ESPN at MC10 on Twitter right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download The Rich Eisen Show app.